Hi guys, Team Pool is wrong. Um, this is something that I had talked about just in my previous video, talking about please don't die before Trump go back to the White House. I meant it. I meant it for real, because this tweet you see by Tim Pool. I'm a huge fan of Tim Pool and his work. I learned so much about the truth, and also the right way to the way to look at U.S. politics through all the smoke and mirrors. But he falls to the same trap. Yes, let's read what Tim Pool wrote on his tweet just a few moments ago, a few hours ago, I think, or half a day ago. So Tim Pool wrote, all of these stories from people who got COVID and regret not getting the vaccine don't persuade people. So this is referring to the stories that came out recently from the CDC, which my previous video talked about, because there are the same amount of stories about vaccinated people getting COVID or suffering adverse reactions from the vaccine itself. So how should we break this down? The actual fact of the matter is, if your body have an adverse reaction to the vaccination, the high chances that you will die when you get COVID-19. That's the truth, because the body is reacting to the vaccine that is stimulating or teaching your immune system how to fight the virus. And if you cannot even, if your body have trouble even dealing with just the vaccine, you're gonna die when you get COVID. That's just the truth. It's like how vaccination works, right? It's like it's like how some of the people get immune to snake poison. They actually inject little bit of snake poison into themselves, little bit by little bit, and once they stop having some kind of reaction to the poison, they inject a bit more, and then they're gonna get side effects because it's a poison, it's toxin. And once their body's immune system learn how to fight the toxin at that level of potency, they increase the toxin, the poison amount that they inject to their body a bit more, and a bit more. Eventually, your body will get fully immune to the snake poison, and that's how you get your body to fully immune to a certain toxin, or for in this case vaccine virus. So for the Chinese vaccine, it's actually they are actually injecting the actual virus into the body, but they are deactivated virus. So they are injecting the actual virus into the body, and then let the body learn to fight this useless virus that they can't fight back, and that's how they learn to fight the virus. But of course, virus evolve. That's why the Chinese vaccine is starting to become useless. Whereas for the Pfizer vaccine, the Moderna vaccine is different. They inject protein into a certain special strain of protein into the body, and the body learn how to fight the vaccine, the virus. And of course, similarly, you're going to get side effects. It varies from person to person, depending on your health, their body condition, and your age. And if you have serious reaction to the virus, to the vaccine, that means you're going to have adverse reaction to the virus. That's just common sense. It's just logical. And if you cannot survive the vaccine, you're going to die when you get the COVID. And probably that's what he's trying to say. That maybe you'll never get COVID, and thus it's better not to get vaccinated, because you probably die from the vaccination for nothing. And the truth is, eventually every one of us is going to get COVID. I haven't got it yet. I got my first shot of vaccination. I still waiting for my second one. The scheduled date is still 2 weeks away, but we are all gonna get COVID someday. It's just like every one of us had gotten flu before, right? You got flu before, right? Correct? True? It is the truth. Everyone catch flu, right? And that's what is going to become. COVID-19 one day is going to be an epidemic, and it's going to be an epidemic. Is that the right word? It's going to be normalized. It's going to be part of the set of viruses and bacteria that we just keep getting sick from on a yearly basis. That's what COVID-19 is going to become, because there's no other way. You just look at the kind of control, the kind of management across the world. Very few countries is able to deal with it effectively. Many countries just throw in the towel, especially for third world countries like India, Indonesia. They gave up. Essentially, they gave up. They just give up on having very strict restrictions. And I think India depends from state to state, but in Indonesia they just say life goes on, but they're going to stop. They still close school. They try to vaccinate using AstraZeneca and Sinovac as much as they can, but because they cannot get their hands on the best US vaccine, they're dying. The doctors are dying, the nurses are dying. You should look at the previous video that I made. I showed an article where doctors died. And here we have one of the most prominent political observer and commentator, creating, I wouldn't say this anti-vax, but conflicting thoughts for people who should actually do the right thing, which is actually to get vaccinated. Not enough of people actually get vaccinated already. If there's going to be a huge conspiracy in terms of the vaccine is going to do what, if 75% of the world's gonna turn into zombies, you're not gonna survive. That's the truth. And that's the kind of attitude that I go into the vaccination as well, because originally I wanted to wait for a year, but looking at how committed my government is into the vaccination program, and how everyone older than me had most of them already vaccinated, and there isn't really a lot of negative news in terms of side effects. There are some side effects, but there are a few, but not really widely reported, that have very serious side effects. But these people would die if they catch the COVID. In Singapore, we have very strong controls. We have very good contact tracing. At the moment, we are not going to have a widespread COVID outbreak, but the Delta variant is so infectious that Singapore is experiencing a second wave. See, it explodes from two different clusters. One entered the country, I think, from Vietnam. The other one entered through the fishery port from Indonesia, when they transport the fish to Singapore. And here, boom, we go from 4 to 5 cases a day, and then we go up to 100, 182, 179, and then by the time we were around 1 week ago, we increased restrictions again. Nobody can eat outside now, and that's how we managed to get the numbers down. But the yellow one is unlinked cases, so I think more to come, perhaps, in Singapore. And this is the Delta variant, and we're talking about a really small country, a city-state, with authoritarian powers, and extremely obedient populace that is able to follow the instructions, like how the Democrats wish the whole of America would be. That's what Singapore is. we are a conservative country that happens to behave like Democrats, and despite that, the numbers are just spiked, and without serious control and contact tracing, and I tell you, it's comprehensive contact tracing, and they even check the wastewater for the fragments of the virus. That's how much they went into to find the clusters, and still this number of people caught the virus. And now I want to show the case, to prove the case, where the CDC in USA said that more than 99% of the people who died from the COVID-19 are people who are unvaccinated. And I can prove that to you, that it is true that even in Singapore that is the case. We look at the past 30 days data. So we go down to, this is at the moment on the 25th, which is within this past 24 hours, we got 14 people having serious symptoms, put it that way, and 2 of them is in ICU, intensive care. The other 12 requires oxygen supplementation, which means that their lungs are failing. So this is a serious case, because without good medical readiness and treatment, these 12 will die too, or they will suffer a lot and have permanent damage to their lungs, or to their heart, or to other part of their organs, and maybe half of them will die. The 2 in ICU definitely will die without medical help. So, and that's how a lot of people die in India and in Indonesia, where the number of people who caught the virus and having a serious condition is way more than what the hospitals can provide for. And people in the USA is lucky, because you have very good healthcare system as well, but a bit is really very expensive. So if you look at in terms of age group that requires oxygen supplementation, 3 is adult 16 to 39 years old, and then 3 is between 40 to 60 years old, 6 is is above 60 years old. So if you look into the even earlier data, you can see that the people who require oxygen supplementation, I think 12 to 18 is rather rare. No one is from below 12 years old. So, which also coincides with the fact that the Pfizer and Moderna vaccine is not for under 12. Above 12 you can to 12 to 18 years old, I think you can take, but I think it reduced dose. And if you look at the intensive care unit, is almost all above 60 years old, and there's only 1 which is between 40 to 60 years old. So looking at these 2 becoming a 1, that means the 2 has actually get out of ICU. So 1 died 2 days ago, which is above 60 years old. So this is by age group. So let's look at vaccination, which is the key here, where I want to prove the point. In terms of fully vaccinated individuals, 100% over the past 28 days in Singapore, where we're having this second or third wave, or I don't know what number wave is we call it, 100% of the people who are fully vaccinated did not require oxygen supplementation. That means all their conditions is asymptomatic or mild, which means that the vaccine works. Because when you look at partially vaccinated people and the completely unvaccinated people, both still catch the virus at around 1.75 to 1.7%. And for the people who requires ICU, you can see that the unvaccinated got a 0.1% across the total number of people, more than the partially vaccinated that requires ICU. So you look at let's not look at the entire month, which is pretty confusing. Let's just talk about today. So we have 8 people so who requires oxygen supplementation, who are partially vaccinated, and 4 that is completely unvaccinated. So one each in terms of ICU. So 2 days ago, one without vaccination died. So the one that is above 60 years old, it also happens to be completely unvaccinated, and he died, or she died. So and so that's kind of like the point. And if you look at the across the entire month, majority of the people that requires ICU and requires additional medical attention, which is the oxygen supplementation, they are mostly completely unvaccinated. And you see, even partially vaccinated, it helps because the numbers are not equal. You see, it's much lesser. If you look 2 to 8, so maybe it's like between 25% to 30%. So that's around 30% of unvaccinated. That means you have a 70 to 75% chance to not require the improvement, put it that way. So you look at the numbers of vaccinated people. Let's see, I think it's below. Do you have that number? So the last 14 days, let's look at this then. You see, the one person died is out of the 123 people who are, it's around 340, around 330 something. So out of around 300 plus people, one died, and that one person is the unvaccinated one. And we are talking about 60 years old and above, and so many people caught it above 60 years old, but only one died. And it happens that it's the unvaccinated one because we have so much more people who are vaccinated, fully vaccinated, and these people should have contributed to the equation, right? But they aren't. The vaccination worked. So out of the 23 to 22, so it's like 45 people, one died. So one out of 45, so it's a 2% chance of dying for people who are 60 and above. So, but as you go younger, the chances of you dying from COVID is of course lesser. So which is why we are not seeing the numbers of people dying, because given the superior healthcare in Singapore, very few people actually died from COVID in Singapore. So this is the point. This is the point I want to push. You see, so vaccination works. It will save your life. It will save at least pain from, because these people who require oxygen supplementation, there is no guarantee that you will come out of the oxygen supplementation unharmed, because a lot of literature have been written about there may be permanent damage to the lungs. They are like the amount of breath they have become permanently lesser. There is no confirmed thing to this, but why take the risk? So, and eventually most people is going to get COVID. Like I said, do you want to travel? Do you want to go overseas? You have to get vaccination. It is, no one wants you to go to their country, especially countries like Singapore, who have controlled the COVID situation, and only for an unvaccinated person to bring in COVID. And so this is what it is. That's why Tim Pool is wrong. He shouldn't be still talking about politics. He's pulling politics into this vaccination issue, this life and death issue, and I think that's wrong, because yes, there is politics when it comes to vaccination, but don't forget, Operation Warp Speed is created, administered, managed by the Trump administration. Donald Trump is the reason why we have all this vaccine and why my country have so few people dying or suffering from the Delta variant now. It's because of Trump. Do you think Biden can do the same thing? I don't know. I see the way how he's screwing up USA. I can't tell, you know. I can't tell. But Trump put in so much effort, despite all the bad press, despite all the disparaging media comments and articles and programming. He made it happen. So now we got Pfizer, we got Moderna, Johnson & Johnson also, I think, but it's not available in my country. And at least these two, Pfizer and Moderna, is the best in the world. If you can get it, get it. The side effects, mainly is, of course, it's going to be painful because it's the injection to the arm. But what I experienced is that you feel very tired. For me, I felt very, very tired. I just want to sleep. I just extended sleeping for the next 2-3 days. Because I'm self-employed. I do my own business, so I have the benefit of staying at home. Stay at home to rest, and after that, you just go back to normal. Life go back to normal. Some people have a slight fever. Mostly, that's what people feel. It's just the pain, in the arm for a few days, and then it just goes away. So don't be afraid. Talk to your doctor. Make sure that your health condition is suitable for the vaccine. Take the vaccine. You will need it, really. You're not going to run away from this virus. Eventually, 100% of the population, or at least very close to 100% of the population, is going to catch COVID-19. And even if you don't catch it within these 2 years, you're going to catch it maybe 5 years from now. Because even with herd immunity, it doesn't really mean that you don't catch it. COVID-19 can still spread between people who have already have the vaccine or have immunity to the virus. They simply catch it and they pass it to someone else. Nothing happened to them, but maybe something will happen to you. So reconsider if you haven't taken your vaccine yet. I'm gonna have mine in 2 weeks for my second shot, and I will tell you more when I get my second shot. I heard that the second shot, the side effects is worse. My wife is a bit worried, but let's see. But the science is there, the numbers are there. This is Singapore, Ministry of Health Singapore. This is not US data, this is Singapore data. And Singapore is a very pragmatic country. We are a very, very small country. We don't joke around, because if our government make a small mistake, our country is going to have a big problem. It's not like USA. You can have all this crazy politics and then the country still goes on and as normal. In Singapore, that's not the case. We are too small to fail. So that's what I want to say. So this is wrong. Seriously, I cannot agree with this kind of tweet or statements, because there's nothing political about COVID. Really, there are politics regarding surrounding COVID, but COVID itself, you're gonna catch it regardless what political affiliation you are. So that's all for this video, and I hope you will dislike the button if you will hit the dislike button, because you don't believe in science, you don't believe in vaccination. And I understand. I already have people just jumping to a conclusion for a lot of things, but that's us. It's just use your own logic, discern what is the truth for yourself. Don't take out politics entirely. If you don't believe in the numbers in USA, find other countries. If you don't like Singapore, find UK numbers, find German numbers. Go and find other numbers. If there's no countries you trust, then you are living in the best country in the world, right? So Otherwise, please subscribe to my channel. I hope I can stop covering COVID. It's a very boring topic. I hope I can find other topics to talk about, and I'll see you next time.